Hello, everybody. Welcome to WWTF. We Want the Facts, a gaming show. I'm Fred White. We got a special guest joining us today, my man Lenzy.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
He's here to talk about the show that he's trying to get up off the ground, man. Thanks for coming on to the show, man.
Thank you, man.
All right.
I appreciate it.
So, what is your show based on?
Well, it's basically about, everything that's going on in our environment and everything that's going on in the areas in the DMV, and it's kind of, it's not just the DMV and the areas that we're living in, but I want it to kind of like be worldwide. Right. I feel like we have an opportunity to reach the masses, what we were talking about on my show, and that's the gang violence and the nonsense, the bloodshed, the police, violence against black minorities. I really want to touch those bases, and I really want to talk about those points on my show. So that's pretty much what it's really about.
Okay. So it's like a political type show.
Yeah, it's not really just political, but we are going to really hit hard on some political issues. Mm-hmm. But it's some religious facts that come into it also, because in politics you have religious beliefs. Mm-hmm. You don't have politics without religion. So that's going to be like a sidebar. We're going to talk some religious issues, some religious beliefs of what people believe that's looking at the show. And hopefully we can get a fan base that people are going to call in and, email us about different correspondence and things of that nature. But I would say it's basically an outreach globally that you can't see on the news. You know what I mean? That you won't see on YouTube a lot, because a lot of YouTube footage, they base it on one particular topic. I want this thing to be worldwide, and I want it to be based on whatever we feel like talking about. Right. Because a lot of times we're not heard as individuals, period. That's pretty much it.
So you said this is a religious topic type show.
I will have different ethnic groups calling in, or I would say different ethnic groups that have emailed me or tried to reach me, and I will try to reach back to everyone. But I will not have foul play on my show, I will say. You can't just call in and say all kind of vulgar language on my show, because I am a Christian. And it's my private right as a Christian to go about the show a certain way. But I will listen to your viewpoint as long as you can come in a neutral ground. If you can come in a neutral ground, when I say neutral ground, you can tell me how you feel about being whatsoever you are and however you feel without curse words. You know what I mean? Because curse words don't carry a religion. They're just words that we, grew up learning and use as a society. So I would rather, if you call into the show, because there might be young people listening, you know what I mean? Right. I would rather you keep it to as though two grown people are talking, or if I'm as a grown man talking to a young person, that everybody can understand. Okay. So I still want to hear your point of view from the heart, but I just want you to try to sanitize it a little bit, if I can say that.
Okay. I'm glad that you keyed in on that point, because we both have something in common. A lot of stuff that is common, and is musically inclined. Yeah. You are a performer, you're a singer, right? Yeah. And I don't anymore, but back in the day I used to rap and all that other stuff. And when I wrote my rhymes, I didn't put a lot of curse words in it, because I felt that if you had to really put like MFs and all other type of bombs in there, you weren't a real lyricist. Like a real lyricist could make a rhyme or whatever you want to call it without using curse words. Yeah. And it can be a good song. A lot of people are going to say, like, this guy that I'm about to talk about, like, okay, why do you pick him? But Will Smith, even though a lot of people call him corny, he has some good rhymes. Yeah. Okay, now let's go deeper, like Eric B. and Rakim. I don't remember too many raps that he wrote that had a lot of curse words in it, but he's a good lyricist. Yeah. But these cats that are coming out right now, I mean, half of them you can't understand nothing that they're saying, and they're not talking about anything. and it's more like auto-tune.
And that's a perfect example, or that's a perfect analogy of what my show would be about, because for a long time we've been listening and we've been accepting for a long time, even since we were little. I mean, the 80s, the 90s, and things of that nature. And some of us that are older than that, the late 70s,
right,
we've been listening to a lot of music that was sounding good to the ear based on our outlook on the environment and society. And society has changed from the late 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and even to now. But like what you were saying about the old rhymes, they didn't feel the need to come with such vulgar language or vulgar attitude, because they wanted to show, if I could speak clearly, they wanted to show people that we as Black African Americans, if I can clearly speak, are more than curse words and Uzis and, you know, and guns and violence. Right. We're not monkeys. We're not crazy. We don't just go wild off of just anything that occurs. What we are educated people. We are a loving people. We are a caring people. And we do very much care about society. We don't just, you know, we don't just want our society and our communities to run rampantly, and we don't want chaos. We don't like chaos. To be honest with you, we don't understand chaos. That's why when chaos is going on, what we look to do is to defend. Right. We look to defend our homes, our moms, our grandmoms, our children. But in music, when it came along, back a long time ago, it dealt with the issue of literacy. You didn't listen to music if you couldn't keep up with the words. Right. Because everything is time, everything is bars and measures. If you couldn't keep up with the time and the bars and measures, you wasn't down with it. And people kind of looked at you funny, you see. But I will say this. It all comes down to this. Music is politics. Right. Music is politics because politics has to let their movement or their campaign get out to the masses. And a lot of us don't look at the news. Right. A lot of us don't read newspapers and different devices and different avenues of information. So what they did was they said, okay, we're going to push this movement through music. Because they knew we wasn't listening to hard rock and heavy metal in those days. We just couldn't deal with it. It was too loud. It was too much cranking and cymbals and electric guitars. It was too much for us. So what we did, we created an avenue that could reach the masses of African Americans, and they called it hip-hop. Hip-hop was never originated to take away from our communities. Hip-hop was originated to give to our communities. But the integrity of hip-hop changed throughout time because of money and fame and the pressure from industries, which we don't control. So now that all that is done away with, basically, now all you got is sex, money, and drugs, and violence and music. That's not hip-hop. Right.
I mean, I will give a pass to NWA, because when they came out, they weren't just rapping. They weren't just using curse words to say, okay, this, that, and the other. It was stuff that was going on in the streets that we were looking at like, wow, this is happening in Compton. This is why it's happening in Los Angeles. So it was like the news for the young people. Because I didn't know that any of that stuff existed when I was growing up.
No.
You know, and now I look back at it today, and I'm like, okay, wow, they were talking about some real stuff. They just weren't using MFs and stuff like that. Their first couple of albums, you know what I'm saying? Right. But the ones that, you know, that went on beyond that was like, okay, now you talk about something else. But, I hate to get off topic, but we're going to go ahead and end the show, but thank you for coming on, Lenzy.
Sure.
Is there some information that you can give us so we can get in contact with you?
Well, y'all can shout out me at DeepTV.com. You know, whenever you all want to get out, you got some topics you want to talk about, you can shout out me. You know, I'm always in contact with Fred Watt. You know, pretty much that's it for right now. we're gonna keep this thing going. You know, God willing. You know, y'all be blessed. I love you. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Good.
All right, so that's gonna do it for the show. Thanks again for coming on, and we'll see you next time on WWTF. We want the facts, the gaming show.
Sir.